Hello. So, my project is about creating moments like this, in which a flat pack chair, which is incomplete, provokes someone to ask questions about the natural world around them, in this case, sticks. And these are questions like, can it hold weight? Will it fit through these holes? But in doing so, it sensitizes them to materiality and hopefully, maybe, just maybe, provokes them to ask some deeper questions about how the world around them is made, and maybe how it ought to be. But my project didn't start out that way. It started out with me asking, how can I make a chair out of bamboo? So I got lucky and I found a researcher at Pitt who was doing stress tests on a bunch of really big shoots of bamboo imported from Puerto Rico. And I also traveled down to this couple's house near West Virginia and cut down some tall, thin stalks of bamboo. So I had basically two different materials to work with, each with their own limitations. So that's when I started experimenting and tried to figure out basically everything that I could do with this material in the wood shop. I figured out that I could use this cast iron apple corer bamboo cutter to stomp down on the pieces and cut them into evenly sized slats. Originally, my plan was to clamp these slats on one side and sit on them on the other, and I realized pretty quickly that the bamboo was actually far too flexible to support my weight. It worked pretty well when I leaned back against it, but not for the seat. So I figured I could have it flex down to a certain point and just have it stop somewhere, and I was still trying to clamp it on one side, and I made this sort of tension system using paracord that you can pull really tight, and it ended up pulling so tight that the top bar bowed and the pieces in the middle weren't clamped at all, though the ones on the outside were clamped very well. So I ended up deciding to have the bamboo bow in the middle under the seat. So instead of flexing it in one direction, I just put weight in the middle and have it bow, and it turns out that works pretty well. I ended up designing a frame in SolidWorks. I cut it out with a CNC router and made it so it all slid together into this sort of incomplete chair, which I filled with bamboo slats, and was pretty happy with that. It was a cool way to finally sit in the chair, and you can see it stays pretty steady, and it also can take the form of a stool if you take the back slats out and slip them through these other holes. So I started to realize there was some potential here, and I could use materials other than bamboo. And because it was flat packable, I could take it with me into Shenley Park. So that's what I did. And not only did I have a really fun time, I ended up inspecting and paying attention to sticks in a way that I never had before. And I know that sounds silly, but I was honestly giddy about how familiar I was with this specific type of stick that I needed by the end of this exercise. It got to the point where I felt like I was developing a sense for what kind of stick would fit through this chair and also hold my weight, all through trial and error and, discovery. So this was the big final conceptual pivot of my project, where I realized I set out trying to make a chair for bamboo, and I ended up making a incomplete chair that can be completed by a lot of different materials, and in that way it's a really good reason to go out and look for things and sort of forage to complete the chair. So it works with bamboo, but it also works with sticks, and I had a lot of fun figuring that out. So to finish off with modality 3, I was reflecting on where this might go in the future and sort of what I can learn from this about my own values and interests as a designer. And I thought this could expand into a whole line of incomplete furniture. Maybe it's a bench, maybe it's a lamp that you go out and you find a good stick for, and you take it home, you put a light bulb in it, and some paper to make a shade, and then turn it on. I would love if this took the form of something online that made all of these plans accessible to people so that they could just download a file, print something out really big, glue it to a piece of plywood, cut it out with a jigsaw, and then have this incomplete piece of furniture to send them out on an adventure, finding sticks or pieces of bamboo or hockey sticks or brooms or whatever it is, to look through their environment and investigate it. All in all, this project made me realize that I can kind of crunch down everything that I wanted to do with this into a sentence, and that might be useful to take with me into the future. I would like to accessibly promote the sense of wonder through designed objects that implicitly communicate sustainable values. That's my sentence, and we'll see if I stick to it.